guys, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest, embodiment and visibility master, a fellow podcaster, as well as an author too, and the author of the book Outside in Recovery, no other than Miss Jenny Cohen.
Thank you so much for having me, Daniel. I'm so excited to be here.
Welcome, Miss Jenny. Can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yes, I am an author of this book that shares my journey after my breast cancer treatment, where I used dance as a way to come back to feeling safe and to process the feelings I didn't know I had. And since then, I've become a helper of women over 40. We're usually in perimenopause or menopause, discover safety and wonder and joy and reclaim who we were meant to be before we became all these things we agreed to without realizing it.
Miss Jenny Cohen, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. The title, Outside in Recovery, flips the common phrase inside out. What does this reversal mean to you, and how did healing your external body first help you to reconnect with your internal self?
I love that you realized that when I say outside, I mean the body first, because most people go, oh, I don't want outside people influencing me. The whole focus of recovery is when your body feels safe, you're more apt to be able to opening to new ways of thinking and feeling and even breath work. So if your body does not feel safe, it's pretty impossible to fix whatever block or habit you want to change.
Dancing is such a powerful, joyful, embodied word. Why was this a perfect metaphor for your journey back to yourself?
They're finding through scientific research, Daniel, that when you dance, you light up a majority part of your brain. Most of us were used to compartmentalizing. And when you compartmentalize, you tend to either sit in the past or you're worried about the future. Being present is your best defense about anything that might come up, stresses, or even um, conflicts that you might have in everyday life, like a bad conversation with a coworker or your husband or your wife. When you're very present, you can actually hear what the miscommunication is, or when you're taking it wrong, and you have to come at it from different angle.
Different angle,
Mm.
indeed. Can you describe the moment you realized your recovery needed to be a creative, expressive act of dancing rather than just a clinical process of healing?
Prior to my children, Daniel, I was an occupational therapist, and the reason why I chose to be a OT versus a PT was the framework of the OT is to get our clients or the patients where they want to go in the direction of their goals. When I found dance, which was even before I was diagnosed with breast cancer, it was one of the few times I felt safe and present. It was very easy to be safe and present when I danced because the music and the movement being coordinated together doesn't allow me to worry about the past or worry about the future. During my cancer treatment, it was about a year and a half. I was always constantly running off to dance events because there is an energetic energy exchange when you're taking classes or you're performing in front of an audience. And that would help me recharge during my treatment. In my recovery, I found it was one of the few things that helped me remember what it was like to be safe. Because after the breast cancer treatment was completely done, Danielle, I was left with, okay, we'll see you next year. You're healed. And I didn't feel safe in my body because I was at my healthiest when I was diagnosed with breast cancer ever.
Miss Johnny, tell us, breast cancer treatment can feel like profound disconnection from one's own body. How did you navigate the feelings of betrayal or alienation from the body you once knew?
That's a really good question. I'm gonna flip that question because that was my answer. I got breast cancer because I hadn't been listening to my body for most of my life.
Mm.
When I got the breast cancer, I actually had to slow down and start to listen. There have been hints before I got my breast cancer, which is similar to basically at that point my body was screaming that I had had a lifetime of not recognizing I was serving for safety. I was very angry about my childhood. I didn't even acknowledge that until a few years after my cancer was done and the treatment was done, Daniel, when one of my children went into extreme distress. And I had to get really present to keep this child safe and still alive and become ultimately that child graduated high honors in college. But there were a couple of years it was very, very scary because I didn't realize I wasn't present enough to keep that child safe.
Awesome, awesome for that recovery, Miss Johnny. What was the lowest point of your experience, and what was first glimmer of the dance that helped you begin to move forward?
I would say the okay, so there are two m- key things that showed up during my active cancer treatment. There was one time because I had to go through 16 cycles of chemotherapy. We mostly sugarcoat the whole chemotherapy process. People are slightly, I feel, enamored of, when we look sick and we're bald and we'll have to wear wigs. That's actually when you're at your lowest part because we're being injected with these chemical poisons to try and save you. And I remember in the middle of my 16 treatments being very, very upset. I just couldn't take it anymore because of the damage that was happening. And I said to my husband, I don't think I can continue. He was so scared, Daniel.
Mhm.
He just looked at me and couldn't even say anything because he was helping raise our fraternal twins and working full time and taking me to all the treatments. We didn't know to go to therapy. We didn't have that at that time set up. So then he didn't know what to do. So then I remember at that time period of time kind of pulling all my emotions back in because I didn't want to scare my husband. That's one thing, right? So if you're going through any major thing, you need to set up therapy or have someone you can talk out these feelings. The second, that's my lowest point because I felt that I didn't have anyone to talk to, because my husband was already overwhelmed, and I didn't think because was going through chemo at the time that I needed to go to therapy, and I really should have been there. The second time was after my 16 cycles of chemotherapy. The doctors had me take a month off, and then I went in for surgery. And I bribed myself to go to surgery because I want to go to a dance event, a belly dance event in Virginia.
Oh,
So
yes.
4 days after my surgery, I went to Virginia. The doctor's like, "Hey, where are you going now?" I'm like, "I'm going to go dance and perform." Because a year before that event, I had won my first contest before I was diagnosed with breast cancer 6 months later. So now I come back, and now instead of this being at the peak of my health, I'm just done with chemo, about to start surgery, and then go into radiation treatments. And I had danced. When I finished performing on the stage, the audience members, Daniel, they all started standing up and giving me standing ovation. And I was so startled at that show of love. I backed up. I was like, no, 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 you don't need to give this to me. I fell off the back of the stage
Mm.
4 days after surgery. Luckily, there were chairs back there, and they caught me, and I only injured a little bit of my calf. I didn't rip any stitches, and that taught me a very important lesson. Again, similar to the first one, when I should have just asked for therapy. The second time, I learned to stand still and receive because I was used to, no, 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 it's enough, it's okay. And I learned, oh, wait, wait, just receive and then thank the audience for their appreciation of your performance.
On the practice of dancing back, was the dance literal? Did you physically dance as form of therapy, or was it just more a metaphorical movement through life?
I love this question, Daniel. Was it physical or metaphorical? It's both. Life is a dance. It's a
Mm-hmm.
dance of getting comfortable inside your body and learning to listen to it. Most of us in this Western culture, we're not taught to listen. I'm 57, Daniel. I love telling people my age. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was young, it was always your mind has to beat your body into submission, right? You got to be strong and be fit, but it's because your body wants to eat all the bad things. And it's actually our body's sole purpose is to give you what you wish for. Sometimes it's giving us messages. For example, we have cells in our heart and gut that mimic our brain cells. So it's almost like thinking systems that are talking to each other. And then what happens is they're sending messages up to our brains, and we have to learn to listen, right? My
Yes.
kids were Olympic athletes, junior Olympians, and they had to learn to ignore what their bodies were telling them because they were competing at the junior Olympics. Versus any other normal person would be like, why are you training 6 hours a day? That doesn't make any sense. Why would we do that? But they really wanted to be very competitive. So they put that time in, and they were under 12. And now in their 20s, they're learning to pay attention when their body says, you need to rest. And it's been really interesting because I think most adults don't even know what this means when your body's going, you need to rest. We usually push past that and then we end up being sick.
Yes. And Miss Jenny, what did finding your rhythm again look like on a bad day? Were there days when the dance was just getting out of bed?
Absolutely. When you're dancing and you learn to listen to what your body wants, it does become a very easy thing to know when it's the simple act of getting out of bed in a slower fashion or changing up what you had committed to that day at that moment because your body's telling you you didn't sleep well and you need to take it slow. That's something that I've learned a lot, Daniel, because usually in the past, we usually just push through things. That's what I did for years, for most of my life. Even today, there were four things at one time in my schedule. And I thought to myself, wait, I got to be 100% for my interview with Daniel. So we're going to take two of those off so that my energy level is high enough for the interview, right? Because I'm going to Los Angeles tomorrow for a whole weekend of dance events. And because I'm much more in my body, I know what I can do and what I cannot do. When I was going through active treatment, Daniel, if I went to a dance festival because I just loved it and it would feed me as long as I was careful. Like if I was performing that day, I wouldn't take all the workshops. I would take one or two in the morning and then go rest. So then I could be my best for the audience members. If I wasn't performing and just watching the shows, I might take a couple more extra classes and I might sit in the back. So if I felt tired, I could leave and go back to my hotel room and rest. These little steps of listening when your body says, hey, I'm tired. Can you please let us rest? We have
Mhm.
to learn to make that more natural than, oh, I have to make a big deal out of it.
What did finding your rhythm again look like on a bad day or something different in a new day, which is you explained a while ago?
Okay. So if I'm having a bad day and I'm teaching my embodiment stretch classes, we normally do a open improvisation afterwards. Some days on a bad day, as you're asking me, Daniel, I might just
Hmm.
do a very simple sway side to side, and that's good. If I start to feel more empowered and really able to still listen to my body, I might add in some turns
Yes.
or some more heavier rhythmed movement or sharper movement. Most of the time, though, my body really would prefer, Daniel, when I'm doing improvisation, to be more flowy and not be so worried about, oh, do I need to impress my camera that I'm videoing to put on social media? I'm actually really in the moment. That's what that can look like.
Interesting, Miss Jenny. And how did your experience with breast cancer and your recovery reshape your understanding of what it means to be a woman and to be strong and to be beautiful?
Oh, you're so sweet. So I never real okay, so when I got breast cancer, I was actually glad that it was me that got sick and not somebody else that got sick in my family because I have fraternal twins through in vitro. And
Mm,
my son had already been diagnosed with type 1. My husband had cancer, which is why we had to go through in vitro. So when I got breast cancer, I was like, oh, thank God I took one for the team before anyone else has something major happen to them. And I actually, even though dance was so therapeutic for me, I didn't slow down even with the breast cancer, you can believe it. It wasn't until my other fraternal twin had difficulty and was self harming and had trigger warnings, suicidal ideation, that I had to learn to use dance not as a, oh, I'm just going to connect with me. I actually had to connect with the present time. So then it shifted into something else where I had to add things on top of the dance format that I was doing, which is mostly belly dance, hip hop, and contemporary dance. That's my blend. Doing
Hmm.
those three with the ways that I was teaching my clients to be present, that then I could be present. So I could be sitting here talking to you, Daniel, and I know if my child's safe or not.
Hmm. Miss Jenny, tell us, as an author and embodiment and visibility master, as well as a podcast host, what are your short term and long term goals?
My short term goals are to continue launching my Solar Circle group community because I've learned that in order to truly heal, you can't do it by yourself unless you want to be a monk. And that's no problem. That's great. Most of us want community. And even I have communities to keep me safe and me whole and me healing. That means everyone else also needs it too. You really can't do it alone. The long term goal is to write my second book, and I want Solar Circle to become a global movement where everybody understands how to go from the outside in their healing and their awareness and reclaiming joy.
Yes, good luck to your goals, Miss Jenny, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Give yourself permission to play, especially if you're over 40. When I say play, I mean play without worrying about who's going to win, about the rules, because usually I want to know all about the rules because that's what kept us safe from our childhoods. Learn to play, learn to be in the moment so that you're reacting to what's really happening in front of you. And lastly, dance as much as you need, which means if your body's saying you need to dance every day, then find what's music for you. It could be anything, Daniel. Some people like the sound of water, rushing water, waves. That's music to them. Move to that. Some people prefer bird song because historically bird song in the wild signifies safety, and for them they love dancing the bird song, and I'm like, that's great. Whatever you think of as music that you feel comfortable moving to, do that at least once a day if you can.
Thank you for the advice, Miss Jenny. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence you, Johnny?
Oh, there's so many, Daniel. First of all, The Body Keeps Score is a excellent book talking about how we don't know how much our body holds our memories. So you may not consciously remember it in like your present self. Oh, this happened when I was a child. Your body actually is holding that memory for you, and there's ways to find. This is another extrapolation from that book. In my further study, through muscle testing, which is applied kinesiology, or right hand or dominant, non-dominant journaling, you can get those answers out. There's another book that just came out by, I think his name is Jason Field, What Got You Here. Phenomenal book, Daniel. I love it because he's not a person who is from the medical field. He is someone who did extensive research for a number of years to help people find out why we are the way we are and why we can't seem to break away from these patterns that are so self-destructive. What I love about his book, Daniel, is that Mr. Field did all this research. So there's like 100 pages of research in the back. It's not stuff he's just thinking about that he felt good. He backs it up with all of these studies, which then
Mhm.
when I speak on it, I can pull on those to help people understand because we overlap so much when I was reading in his book. The biggest thing is, as adults, we don't remember everything that happened in our childhood. And remember, when you were born, when I was born, our parents didn't have directions like IKEA furniture. They had to figure out how to help us. And during those times, in our little baby brains, we would make up stories to explain why our needs weren't being met. And sometimes those stories are still working, and we have to unravel them and have them reassigned to ways that are actually helping the present you.
Thank you for that recommended books, Miss Jenny. And tell us, what is the one thing you wish people understood about recovery process that is not often discussed?
This is a good one because we're all we're all post the panini. That's what I call the COVID lockdown. Yeah. All
Yes.
of us are post it. It's like that, what was that show with Thanos, the guy who snapped his finger and half the
Mm-hmm.
population disappeared? We
Yes.
all just, we lived through that just now. So
Mm-hmm.
all of us have to figure out there's so many, there's so many options of healing out there right now. Your body knows what's best for you. And once you learn to listen, you will be guided in what's the right thing to do.
Yes, listen to the rhythm of your body, people. How has this journey changed your relationship with time and the future and the present moment?
I used to worry I was going to die before my kids grew up, Daniel.
Mm.
That was a pretty intense fear. And I actually was putting together choreography the year before I got cancer of a piece of my kids growing up without me when I'm long
Mm-hmm.
gone, right? And now that I've come on through the other side, I mean, I almost died, and I didn't. Chemotherapy is a form of almost killing you to get you to heal, right? They're hoping you make it through. Like the cancer cells die off before the rest of your systems shut down. That's really what chemotherapy sometimes can be, really is in reality. So on the other side of it is this, especially after I went through the process I talked about in my book, going, acknowledging my anger, dealing with my survivor guilt, because I felt bad that I have so many friends that didn't make it through breast cancer. Why did I survive it? And realizing, oh, because my purpose on this life isn't done. I still have a
Yes,
lot of work to do. A lot of people still need some of
true.
these answers, right? And
Yes.
so that's really, we're all here because you still serve a purpose. Your purpose has not been achieved yet. So it's not over until it's over.
Yes, it happened for a reason, Miss Jenny.
Mm.
And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and mental health 101. Love letters in third season, and my movie 101 review and music 101 in fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Jenny, finally, now that you have a dance your way back, what does living fully embodied life mean to you today? How do you continue the dance?
Stepping into my birthright, that I deserve to be here and I'm worthy of the message that I've been given and that I took up before I was born. And knowing that, life is so short. And when I really, really am honest about that, and I know that I'm serving my purpose.
Yes, people, life is too short and seize your day. Miss Jenny Cohen. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your book, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Thank you, Daniel. If you want your gift, go to danceandheal.com for your virtual gift. And you can also get my book on Amazon.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Jenny Cohen because if you support her, for sure more and more empowering books like this to come, more and more empowering episodes of the podcast itself, and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Miss Jenny, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel.
More to come, people. See you soon.